Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I don't see nobody yet. Oh, there. Dr. Ramadan. All right. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, everybody. We got about a minute before we officially start. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Should be a clock. Let me see what it's about. Where is it? Okay. All right. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, everyone.
Walaikum assalam.
A'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We thank Allah for blessing us to be here this first Sunday. This is our October first Sunday meeting, following post the Muslim convention. And so we were here last Sunday during our annual convention, and I wanted to greet everyone that participated and thank everyone for their participation and helping us to achieve a successful convention. And one of our presenters at the convention is Amir Muhammad. You all know of he's the co-founder of the Islamic Museum, right? And he's also a researcher and a historian. I'm very excited about his presentation. So inshallah, we'll give him our full attention when the time comes for the keynote of the first Sunday today. Yes. I'm Imam Wadathuddin Muhammad, or Wallace D. Muhammad. A lot of people know me as the son of our late leader, Imam W. Dean Muhammad. And I am the president of the Mosque Cares. And we've been doing this a community program. We call it the first Sunday after our leader and teacher, Imam W. D. Muhammad. I think this is the second time he used that language, this Sunday. We used to have fourth Sunday hookups when he first came into office, and his last couple years of his ministry, he started a program and he referred to it as the first Sunday program. And it was his program for his leadership and a way that all of the nationwide leadership and the communities all could come together on the first Sunday of the month and in various cities and hear his address. So we thought it was only proper for us to continue this program, but we made some alterations to it. We thought that it would be a good opportunity for us to show the beauty of our development under his leadership of over 33 years that he led our community. And we grew as individuals, as business persons, educators, religious leaders, scholars, and government officials. We have a very diverse, our society represents like a microcosm of what the true American dream is for individuals that come here as migrants. And as you all know, that we didn't necessarily migrate here, but our ancestors are from across the waters. Most of ours are. So alhamdulillah, we thank Allah for this opportunity. And I see Imam Elam Muhammad, he's our Imam at the Mosque Cares here and in the East Hazelcrest, and whenever we need leadership, Imam Elam has been here for quite some while. He's also on our board. He's a board member of the Mosque Cares. So we're going to let him open up our program with the dua, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you, Imam Wadathuddin Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Okay, we'll open up with dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum. At this time, we're going to start at the top of our program with the Muslim Health Consortium. And we're going to turn it over to our good brother, Imam Dr. Mikhail Ramadan. Dr. Ramadan. Let's see. We have, as always, today we will begin our program with the Muslim Health Consortium, a presentation by the Muslim Health Consortium with Imam Dr. Mikhail Ramadan, which will be followed by the presentation of the Quranic Arabic discussion with Imam Elam Muhammad, which will then be followed by our business and technology presentation by Brother Abdul Rashid Akbar. And then that'll be followed by comments from our leader, Imam W.D. Muhammad II, and which will be followed by our featured guest presenter, which will be, as Imam mentioned, Brother Amir Muhammad. Dr. Ramadan, are you there?
Oh, so he was there just before.
Let's see.
He might have hit a button or something. I think, or his end. Because he was there, then he wasn't. You trying to get back in now?
Okay, those of you, oh, there you are, Dr. Ramadan. Okay. Can you hear us, Dr. Ramadan? We see you.
Maybe a little bit.
Assalamu alaikum. Am I on?
Perfect. Yes, sir. We hear you.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I'd like to say first, I have been, we had a storm here this past week, and my Wi-Fi was knocked out, and my backup hotspot was also flaky. So I came here to a hotel to not have those sorts of problems. So I don't know if the problem that I'm experiencing now is where it's coming from. So inshallah, we will deal with it nonetheless. We'd like to, on behalf of the Muslim Health Consortium, thank Imam Wafiddin Muhammad II for this opportunity to present, as always, what we have accumulated and share with our community. We thank you and the Mosqueers. Alhamdulillah. We'd like to get right into it. And we always begin with the view from the top, the public health issues that we're facing. And we will make this part as short as possible because we do have some very important information that we'd like to address after this. What we're now here in the fall, and alhamdulillah, we are leaving the pandemic and transitioning into an endemic regarding COVID-19. The endemic is where COVID-19 becomes almost like the flu, but not quite. It's still more dangerous than the flu. Like the flu, seasonal cases rise, and that's what's happening with COVID now. The good news is that there's a lot of immunity in the population now. And this immunity is from those of us who've had it, from the vaccinations, and from the herd immunity that exists, from us being around people who are immune and just doesn't give the virus an opportunity. We can see, as we've mentioned in the past, the viral loads increasing in the wastewater, which is one important way that we find out where the cases are increasing, since nobody is reporting when they get it now. It's not necessary and they're not keeping that data. But we do see the levels rising. We also see hospitalizations rising. In fact, the number of cases has doubled in the past month. And we also see the number of deaths also increasing now. It rose over 5% in the period from August to September and early part of September. And the recommendations now from the CDC is that all Americans ages 6 months and older are eligible to receive the updated COVID booster. And the Moderna, Pfizer, and Novavax. And the AMA has projected from its calculations that if this is accepted widely, that it could prevent 400,000 hospitalizations, and that's significant. And about 40,000 deaths over the next couple of years. And we're not going to go into all of the different types of subvariants that are targeted by this, but just to say that this booster is monovalent, where the last one booster was bivalent. It's like, as I used the example of double barrel shotgun, and this one is like a rifle shot. And this booster is aimed at the subvariant of XBB 0.1.5. And as it so happens that this one is now on the downside. It's going out. But recent studies have shown that even when this current booster is taken, that it has sort of collateral benefit, that it does cause immunity to rise against the current king of the mountain, BA 0.2.86. And that's the one we're concerned about, along with some other related subvariants. So it is important, and the Muslim Health Consortium does recommend that we all take the current booster that's out. Some of us have taken it already. Some of us are planning to take it as soon as it's available to us, and we do recommend that. Especially those who are elderly, high risk, have younger family members that can expose them to COVID, and those that are immune compromised, they should definitely take this vaccine. And as you know, this is flu season. We recommend at the same time to take your flu vaccine. I have gotten mine. I'm scheduled to take, will be scheduling to take my COVID booster, my wife and I. And so that's important. This last flu season, about 21,000 people died. And this is a little less than usual. And that's because we were dealing with the guidelines. And usually the flu kills between 30,000 and 50,000 people a season. So when this occurs in light of COVID and with RSV, as we've said in the past, this constitutes the triple-demic. And that's not good, especially for the elderly. So we do recommend the flu vaccine and the COVID vaccine. And you ask, what about the RSV vaccine? Well, as the Muslim Health Consortium, we're looking into that. We do recommend it for the young people and for those over 65. You know, the particularly vulnerable group. So that's where we stand at this point with the pressing public health issues. We'd like to move right in with the time that we have to our subject topic for today, which is mental health. And we are addressing this topic in light of the balance which Almighty God Allah has established with physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. So we'll be approaching it from that perspective. And we, as human beings, are put together by Allah in the best of molds, and to be healthy, productive, and well as his servants. And as human beings, we are composed of the physical, which is our flesh body, the mental, and the spiritual components. We've been created with certain susceptibilities and weaknesses within each of those levels that we have. Then after being formed, we are born and then get thrown into life for a period of time between our birth date and our death date, that period. This is our test to face challenges from the environment and from man's opponent, Shaitan. The saving grace for the human being is his choice to accept his Lord, who is the merciful benefactor and the merciful redeemer. At the end of our life, at the end of our test, we will be brought back for evaluation, judgment, and his reward or punishment will be decided by his creator. So in a nutshell, that's the lifespan of the human being. And we may experience different problems at every level of our existence. And these problems which occur at each level change as we age through our lives. So the physical, mental, and spiritual parts of all of us change as we go through being a newborn, childhood, adolescent, teenager, young adult, senior, and elderly. So each of those levels, the problems and challenges change in the life of each person at each stage. So just as these issues occur in the individual, they occur in our relationships, in our families, in our community, in the nation, and international relationships in a similar pattern. So when we start with the human being and just grow outward, those same problems occur as the perspective gets broadened. Almighty God Allah gives each person different gifts and different challenges. So in the end, we return to Allah and He will evaluate, that's the judgment, how we use what we were given. What was our intentions and what was our actions? Each of the components has to be taken care of like a trustee caring for a garden. My physical has to be taken care of, my mental and my spiritual. These are all gardens that I have to tend to. So that's just an example of what we have to do with ourselves and with our community and with our nation. Now, when we look at this pattern in terms of a clinical exam, when we break it down to a person, how do we look at this arrangement on a personal level? First, we have to do a history and physical exam that deals with the flesh body. We have to do a mental status exam to learn the mental issues and the mental stability or fragility, and a spiritual exam. And this is one that people usually don't talk about. And in fact, if you did this professionally, they would probably look at you. But I found it helpful when I was practicing by simply asking, would you say that you are a person of faith? And if they say yes, I would say, how strong would you say your faith is? And I wouldn't take it any further than that. If they explained that they were a person of faith, I knew as a clinician that I had a lot more to work with. If they said, on the other hand, that they were not a person of faith, that was a door that I closed. That, there was not much there to work with. So when we do these examinations, and are familiar with what the medical problems might be when we examine people, we may find hypertension, heart trouble, diabetes, chronic lung disease, and on, lupus, and other conditions. The mental problems, we may find anxiety, depression, suicidal ideas, gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder, social media dependency, bullying, hopelessness, indebtedness, aging concerns and fears, loneliness, being single, drug and alcohol abuse, and on and on. And on spiritual problems, it may be disbelief, arrogance, hard-heartedness, pride, shamelessness, selfishness, heedlessness, neglectful or rebelliousness, just to name a few. Historically, Muslims have used the Quran to learn about human psychology. Not only Muslims, but before the Quran, with other scriptures, Western thinkers use scriptural insights of man to develop its concept of Western psychology. They didn't come from nowhere. They come from looking at the man that was created by Allah. We can see in the Quran, paradise is the state of mental well-being. Almighty God Allah uses afflictions of the believers as one means to forgive one's sins. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is to liberate people of their yokes and burdens and shackles, physical and mental, by others, and that we put on ourselves. We can see anxiety and mood disorders in psych. Anxiety, problems of the imagination, and grief, problems of the memory. Thoughts give birth to feelings. Develop some thought patterns and look at cyclical thinking that occurs. There's a prayer that I find helpful and say frequently, and I know many of us remember it from the first. It's the prayer, "Oh Allah, I seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. I seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness, from cowardice and niggardliness or selfishness, from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice thou me what is lawful, and keep me away from that which is prohibited. And with thy grace, make me free from want of what is beside thee." I mean, alhamdulillah, that prayer hit on a lot of mental health issues and spiritual issues indeed. Now, quickly, before we get into our next presenter, the African-American community and mental health. According to the CDC, mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. In the Black community, mental health, there's a mental health stigma, which hinders our community from seeking help. We have mistrust of the healthcare system. And this, in a great part, is due to the negative encounters that we've had with healthcare professionals. We've experienced biases historically, structurally, systemic racism and discrimination. African Americans feel marginalized, and that's for real. Even as a practitioner in school and training, I felt it. And oftentimes our people rely on family, community, spiritual support instead of medical or psychiatric treatment, even when it's critically necessary. Just to look briefly at how we stack up. About 21% of Black and African Americans report having mental illness. About 21% voluntarily reported. And many of the more serious mental health problems are major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. Black people are far less likely to seek care, more likely to receive it from the emergency department. And practicing in the emergency room for 40 years, I saw it in all its colors. African Americans prefer seeing Black therapists. We do. We feel relieved. The problem is there's only 2% of the psychiatrists are Black, and only 4% of the psychologists are Black. And historically, the mental health care and family therapy were established to treat white middle-class families. And what happens, I saw this with my colleagues and when we were students, that many of the doctors see the pathology in the Black families, and they overlook the unusual strengths that we have, the extended kinship ties that we have, and see them as problems and not as something that could be used. We notice that there's a relationship between poverty and mental health status. And the poverty rate in our community is about 21%, or twice that of the white community. Death rates from suicide. African American males, 1 year was 4 times greater than African American females in 2018. And Black and white substance use disorder is about even between Black Americans and white Americans. But we have higher rates of illicit drug use and unmet treatment needs. Roughly about 10% of Black Americans are not covered by health insurance. And that seems like a low number from what I've seen. So in concluding this part of our talk, before we get to our next presenter, in terms of treatment, keep in mind that at every stage of our existence, at every level of our existence, at every age, the idea of halal and haram are important guardrails that should be present in our psyche. And to stay healthy, keep these things in mind: diet, exercise, adequate sleep, manage your stress. And that's by, in parentheses, increase your faith, and medical screenings. Those are important. If possible, seek help from a Muslim therapist. He brings about, or he or she brings about, cultural competency in providing that care. It's one who is familiar with the tenets of our faith, or who practices in the Muslim community, or has the ability to include Islamic beliefs and practices into his treatment. But beware about the idea of blaming the victim spiritually. You don't want anybody who's telling you you're afflicted because your faith is weak, or that you're possessed by the jinn or shaitan. No. Thank you, brother, but later for that person. Remember, we can't see into a person's heart. So what we can do is try to avoid stigmatizing mental illness as a personal weakness or a weakness of faith. Be supportive and compassionate with others, especially anyone having personal difficulties. And remember, don't hesitate to ask, have you thought about hurting yourself? You can save somebody's life with that little question. Have you thought about hurting yourself? That's not too deep a probe, but that will give you the idea if suicide is a consideration, and you might save somebody's life. Remember, educate family, friends, and colleagues about mental health within the Black community or any community. Become aware of our own attitudes about mental health, mental illness, so that we can reduce our own biases. And finally, remember Allah's help. With Allah's help, we can make a difference. So with that, I'm going to conclude and go into our next phase. And it's a presentation with a member of Muslim Health Consortium, Sister Sharon. She was couldn't be present today, but she pre-recorded her presentation. So Imam Adil, if we can go to that now.
Yes, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To Imam
Are you hearing that fine?
Yes.
Okay, great.
W.D. Muhammad II, President of Mosque Cares, and the technical support team, Imam Adil Muhammad and Imam Elam Muhammad, and the Mosque Cares listening and viewing audience. On behalf of the Muslim Health Consortium, my name is Sister Sharon Abdullah, and inshallah, we want to present to you a PowerPoint on maintaining our mental, physical, and spiritual health. So inshallah, we're going to share a screen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To Imam W.D. Muhammad, President of Mosque Cares, the technical support team, Imam Elam Adil Muhammad and Elam Muhammad, and to the Mosque Cares listening and viewing audience. My name is Sister Sharon Abdullah, and on behalf of the Muslim Health Consortium, Mosque Cares First Sunday, we want to present Minding Our Mental, Physical, and Spiritual Health. October is Mental Health Awareness Month. Among many other important awarenesses, we want to highlight today mental health awareness. So as believers and Muslims, how do we maintain our mental and physical and spiritual health? How does our faith strengthen our mental, physical, and spiritual health? How do we define mental, physical, and spiritual health? What causes mental health issues? What are the types of mental health issues? What are the different mental health issues among men, women, and children? Let's explore holistic ways of maintaining our mental health. So we have our 5 pillars of faith. Tawheed, or the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making salat 5 times a day. Fasting, especially during the month of Ramadan. Zakat, which is not only monetarily donations, but we give back in the community and we assist others. And then there's Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca, at least once in a lifetime. Our total health depends on our combined thoughts, habits, and environments that help maintain our mental, physical, and spiritual health throughout our lifespans. So I want to share a hadith with you, Hadith Qudsi 15, which is entitled, Remember Allah and He remembers you. I am with him when he makes mention of me. If he makes mention of me to himself, I make mention of him to myself. And if he makes mention of me in an assembly, I make mention of him in an assembly better than it. And if he draws near to me an arm's length, I draw near to him a phantom's length. Al-Islam is the complete way of life that reflects submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Islam means submission, which is derived from the Arabic word salam, which means peace. So what is mental health? Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. Mental health is important at every stage of our lives, from childhood to adolescence throughout adulthood. So, how common are mental illnesses? Mental illnesses are among the most common health conditions in the United States. About 1 in 25 US adults live with a serious mental illness, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or major depression. So inshallah, we just want to take a few minutes to share with you a YouTube video regarding depression.
Ever wonder what it's like to be an air crewman in the Navy? We get to see the world. We get to go to areas that many people don't get the opportunity to see. And you always have someone to lean on. It's like your second family. Watch us in an Air Crewman Search and Rescue Challenge at SailorVersus.com.
Depression is the leading cause of disability in the world. In the United States, close to 10% of adults struggle with depression. But because it's a mental illness, it can be a lot harder to understand than, say, high cholesterol. One major source of confusion is the difference between having depression and just feeling depressed. Almost everyone feels down from time to time. Getting a bad grade, losing a job, having an argument, even a rainy day can bring on feelings of sadness. Sometimes there's no trigger at all. It just pops up out of the blue. Then circumstances change, and those sad feelings disappear. Clinical depression is different. It's a medical disorder, and it won't go away just because you want it to. It lingers for at least 2 consecutive weeks and significantly interferes with one's ability to work, play, or love. Depression can have a lot of different symptoms: a low mood, loss of interest in things you normally enjoy, changes in appetite, feeling worthless or excessively guilty, sleeping either too much or too little, poor concentration, restlessness or slowness, loss of energy, or recurrent thoughts of suicide. If you have at least 5 of those symptoms, according to psychiatric guidelines, you qualify for a diagnosis of depression. And it's not just behavioral symptoms. Depression has physical manifestations inside the brain. First of all, there are changes that could be seen with the naked eye and X-ray vision. These include smaller frontal lobes and hippocampal volumes. On a more micro scale, depression is associated with a few things: the abnormal transmission or depletion of certain neurotransmitters, especially serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine, blunted circadian rhythms, or specific changes in the REM and slow wave parts of your sleep cycle, and hormone abnormalities, such as high cortisol and deregulation of thyroid hormones. But neuroscientists still don't have a complete picture of what causes depression. It seems to have to do with a complex interaction between genes and environment, but we don't have a diagnostic tool that can accurately predict where or when it will show up. And because depression symptoms are intangible, it's hard to know who might look fine but is actually struggling. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, it takes the average person suffering with a mental illness over 10 years to ask for help. But there are very effective treatments. Medications and therapy complement each other to boost brain chemicals. In extreme cases, electroconvulsive therapy, which is like a controlled seizure in the patient's brain, is also very helpful. Other promising treatments, like transcranial magnetic stimulation, are being investigated too. So if you know someone struggling with depression, encourage them, gently, to seek out some of these options. You might even offer to help with specific tasks, like looking up therapists in the area or making a list of questions to ask a doctor. To someone with depression, these first steps can seem insurmountable. If they feel guilty or ashamed, point out that depression is a medical condition, just like asthma or diabetes. It's not a weakness or a personality trait, and they shouldn't expect themselves to just get over it, any more than they could will themselves to get over a broken arm. If you haven't experienced depression yourself, avoid comparing it to times you've felt down. Comparing what they're experiencing to normal temporary feelings of sadness can make them feel guilty for struggling. Even just talking about depression openly can help. For example, research shows that asking someone about suicidal thoughts actually reduces their suicide risk. Open conversations about mental illness help erode stigma and make it easier for people to ask for help. And the more patients seek treatment, the more scientists will learn about depression, and the better the treatments will get.
What happened? No. Oh, the next slide.
So, mental health care providers, when we need mental health services, well, how do we go about getting them? First of all, we need to have general practitioners, your regular doctor, where you obtain your regular wellness visits, or if you just have a question, you can call the advice nurse. And then your regular doctor or general practitioner will provide a referral to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. These are physicians that are specialized in mental health training. And then you will also be referred to counselors or clinicians or therapists, and even clinical social workers. But important first to get into the healthcare system. So what causes mental health illnesses? There's no single cause, but a number of factors can contribute to the risk for mental illnesses, such as adverse childhood experiences. There's trauma and history of abuse. For example, child abuse, sexual assault, or witnessing violence. Experiences related to other ongoing chronic medical conditions, such as cancer or diabetes, plus historical, societal inequities, lack of access to quality health care, education, food and housing, biological factors or chemical imbalances in the brain, drug and alcohol use, and even the process of natural aging can cause some mental health illnesses, such as dementia or Alzheimer's. So what are some of the types of mental health disorders? Anxiety disorders. We just looked at what depression is, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress syndrome. We know many of our veterans who have actually experienced war firsthand, or first responders, or someone who has seen an accident and has lived through it. Eating disorders. We know many of our young women have eating disorders such as anorexia nervosa, where they starve themselves because they feel that they're overweight, or bulimia, where they just consume so much food that they become overweight. We know there's schizophrenia, disruptive behavior, and dissocial disorders. And so reading more about this, we can reflect on lately in the news, we can see droves of young people breaking into stores and rummaging and taking everything possible that they can snatch and grab without any thought to consequences to their actions. And then we have neurodevelopmental disorders. So our mom is carrying our child within, and this child's not getting the proper nourishment, mom's not getting the proper rest, and this child arrives to us basically with some neurodevelopmental disorders. So basically, we are going to see what type of treatments we have. So these are some of the common treatments out there. You're going to hear some common themes, which are already the core of community life. So first is psychological therapy. We know they provide medications, psychoeducation, stress reduction, conflict resolution, strengthening that social functioning, psychological treatment, family-based treatment, bringing that family on board, and cognitive-based therapy. Here we are, involving the village, the parents, caregivers, and teachers. Cognitive problem solving and social skills training, which should begin, of course, in the family at a very young age. Psychosocial intervention, again, is family therapy. And for our little ones with the developmental issues, we have occupational and speech therapy. So what is telemental health? We know what telemedicine is because most of us have been privy to it after the event of COVID. So what we can do is we get an appointment from our general practitioner or specialist, and at the time and place, we sit in front of our computer or we're on the phone, and we're having that appointment via technology. So someone with a mental health condition can also have the same access to care. So they found research suggests that it's working, it's effective with those patients who have ADHD and PTSD, depression, and anxiety. So I have a link for the audience to read more about how telemental health has come into play. So the World Health Organization says that people with mental health disorders require social support, including support in developing and maintaining personal, family, and social relationships. People with mental disorders may also need support for educational programs, employment, housing, and participation in other meaningful activities. So what is physical health? It's the normal functioning of our bodies. It represents one dimension of our total well-being. It's how our body grows, how it feels and moves, how we care for it, and what we put into it. On the physical aspect is better health, improved quality of life, stronger bones and muscles, fighting off illnesses better, weight control, and improved fitness. On the mental health aspect, our anxiety and depression are reduced. Our stress is reduced or prevented. We have improved cognitive functioning. We feel more energized. We sleep better. We relax better. On the social front, there's more social integration. We build, and I'll put quality here, we build quality new friendships. We strengthen quality relationships. We increase quality family time. We meet quality new people, and we build social skills. On an emotional front, we develop more self-confidence, more self-worth, more feelings of happiness, more feelings of success, a positive mood and affect, and lower our tension. So what is spiritual health? According to a source called Spiritually Health U, spiritual health is a dimension of human wellness that integrates all dimensions of health: physical, emotional, mental, and social. Spiritual health creates meaning in life. It cultivates altruism and ethics, and is based on individual perceptions, convincing us of our ability to survive. So just to let you know, one of those health observances is National Depression Screening Day, October the 6th this year of 2023. So who should get screened? People suffering from a persistent, sad, and anxious or empty mood, sleeping too little, or early in morning awakening. We wake up early for Salat, or it's just sleeping too much, reduced appetite and weight loss, or increased appetite and weight gain, a loss of interest or pleasure in activities once enjoyed. So this is a quote from a brother who writes for the Muslim Journal, and the article was involved with providing mental health services for those children and families that are on Medicaid and CHIP. So it says caring for mental health is caring for our overall health. And the early detection and intervention of mental health and substance use issues are crucial to the overall health of kids, teens, and people during and after pregnancy. So just rounding everything up and reviewing, continuing to practice our pillars of faith, healthy diets, intermittent fasting, if that's possible, lower your fat and carbohydrate and sugar intake. That regular exercise, quality sleep, regular hand washing, masking and vaccinating as appropriate, avoiding the vaping and the smoking and other environmental pollutants. Let's meditate more. Tai Chi, yoga, aroma, and music therapy, regular wellness visits, periodic screenings, community life, volunteerism, quality and long-term relationships. So when we need it, it's there. We don't ignore our mental health. So there's a getting mental health when we need it with a 988 suicide and crisis lifeline. If you're feeling alone and have thoughts of suicide, whether or not you are in crisis or know someone who is, don't remain silent. Talk to someone you can trust through the 988 suicide and crisis lifeline. Call or text 988 or chat the lifeline. And just to remind you that when you don't see someone, call them up. Go over and visit if you can. Life can get busy for us, but some of us are slowed down by chronic issues or mental health issues. Check on one another. So we are now arriving at the end of my presentation. Inshallah, if there are any questions, we are going to ask Dr. Ramadan to address the questions, and also invite you to, inshallah, partake of the resources that are at the back of this slide, the end of this slide. And also, once again, to Imam W.D. Muhammad II, President of Mosque Cares, our technical support team, Imam Adel Muhammad, Imam Elam Muhammad, and you, the listening and viewing Mosque Cares audience. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Ramadan. We're going to turn it back over to you.
Wa alaikum assalam. Yes, alhamdulillah. I hope that your reception wasn't as unstable as mine was of the presentation, and that every one of the viewers was able to get something from that. So we would like at this point to entertain questions about our discussion or about the presentation. And if my system, which seems to be unstable, goes down, well, I guess we can receive your questions at contact yourmhc@gmail.com. Okay, so at this time, Imam Adil, we can take questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ma'am Ramadan. And yeah, we saw you go in and out with your connection a couple times, but everything was stable on our end. So the presentation still played and everything went just fine. So, and what we'll do is we'll enter your email into the chat, contact yourmhc@gmail.com. So those of you who have questions for the Muslim Health Consortium, at this time on the Zoom audience, please raise your hand so we can acknowledge you. And those of you in the YouTube side, our YouTube audience, please enter them in the chat and we'll recognize you in the chat. Are there any questions for the Muslim Health Consortium regarding the mental health or health-related questions? Please raise your hand if you have a question. You see, we have a comment. They say Nurse Sharon was excellent. See comments. I'm getting done. All right. 407. Did you have a question for Dr. Ramadan? You have Dr. Ramadan in the Muslim Health Consortium on the phone line. Okay, we'll go ahead to Dr. Rashida Muhammad. And I believe we see you, Sister Anna, you next after Dr. Rashida, then we'll go with Shahida. So go ahead, Dr. Rashida.
Okay, am I, okay, I'm not mute, Robert. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the lack of sleep and mental health, how that plays out and how it's recognized.
Hopefully he's not, I think he's having issues with the internet, so he's paused. I'm not sure if he hears it or not. But what we'll do is, inshallah, Dr. Rashida, if you don't mind entering that into the chat, if his internet has went out, if you don't mind entering that into the chat.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Ramadan, did you hear it? He's there. He's back.
Yeah, he's back. Yeah. Oh,
We lost him. Okay.
Yeah.
You have something to say?
no, I was gonna say what I know about, they use the term sleep deprivation, right? And they use that to train like astronauts and military people and things like that. Because yeah, she's right on the money when she mentions that there is an effect of the mind need the body, the mind, the body, and everything. I hear the body doesn't even start to heal until you sleep. Yeah, and you need not just a little sleep. I tell my children all the time, turn them lights out. Because even if you fall asleep with the lights on, it affects your levels of sleep. They say you don't go into that deep sleep that you really need to restore your body. Yeah.
All right, sister, and we're gonna try to enter these in the chat for inshallah Dr. Muhammad, Dr. Mikhail Ramadan can address them, or you can send them to contact your mhc@gmail.com, and the Muslim Health Consortium, they're usually about responding back to the comments. Go ahead, Anna. Sister Anna.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. And first of all, I want to say, Brother President, Yeshua, you look.
Yeah, thank you, sister. I think that's this aftershave.
And I know it's only because it's exuding from the inside and illuminating from to us, and we could see it. And that's a sign of mental health, mental illness, I would say. And our physio, the physical self also is an indication of our state of being. You know, there's a state of homeostasis, you know, everything is all well, meaning that the person is accepting the will of God. And like, I'm in accordance with your will, God. That in itself, that state of being is you see it in the believers.
That's right.
So I want to indicate that you're shining, you're illuminating. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece that you're sending.
Yeah. Yeah, I have peace. I'm not gonna deny it. But I have to be thankful and appreciative to the people that I see on a daily basis. I come across. My children are wonderful human beings. They're believers, and they love each other and they love their daddy, you know. And that's what I need right now. And I got good people around me. My buddy sitting next to me, he ain't a bad guy either. You know, he keeps my spirit, keeps me smiling, keep me happy, just because of his peace that he has. We kind of vibe off each other. And you too, sister. You know, I spoke to your husband last week, and Allah has blessed me. I'm really grateful that I got some really, really spiritual giants that I feed off of, you know. Yeah. And I got that weight off me. I use weight, you know, it's not all off, but when you're uncomfortable, Allah said he never does, he can change, never does he change the situation until you first change what's bothering your own soul. You know, and so that was a burden off of me that I lived with many, many years. And it's not so burdensome because, you know, I don't have to do push-ups to impress my wife. I don't have a wife right now. So the stress is, Allah is merciful. I'm enjoying life right now. And when I used to run to try to lose weight, I'm give y'all a little tip. I knew nothing could ever come between Allah and his messenger. So this my cadence, I would be la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah in my mind. Sometimes I would say it out loud because I wanted to stop running. And when I felt myself feeling weak or fatigued, I just call on Allah, and I would chant that, it's no God but God, and Muhammad is his messenger, because that's a bond that'll never be broken, Allah and his messenger. So that's something that you can use for strength. It's just the remembrance of Allah. And I believe that's the main cause of mental illness in our society, is a lack of peace with an authority greater than themselves, which we call God, and the one that's the power behind all things and all possibilities. That if we can trust God, the more we trust God with ourselves and our circumstance, then we can find peace. Allah said you will never, and loving one another. Allah said you will never have enter paradise until you practice loving one another. And the way you do that is to work together for peace. Yeah. And that's a hadith, so alhamdulillah. I don't know. Is he back? Oh, okay.
Okay, next up was Sister Tawhida. Sister Tawhida. Question or comment? You can just go ahead and voice your question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
Yes. I just wanted to say, first I had one thing to say, but then, when I was listening, something else came to my mind. When you think of depression, it seems like false worship. That's oppressive. That's the worst form of oppression, but it seems also as the worst, it can cause depression. If you're not looking at God as God, and people looking down on you, and that psychological thing on that, and that causes a depression type thing. And then a lot of people that they go to different things, Sister was saying, but when somebody depressed, the way they act and what they do, and a lot of people, they go to the what you call those places, the dispensaries.
Yeah, they go to, that's another thing that is a major concern. They go to every place to look for even the sleep deprivation. People take drugs, they drink coffee, they have illegal drugs, and they have legal drugs, and they are fight. You can't your body needs rest, it needs sleep. And then so they're trying to fight the nature that God created. We have to submit to the nature.
It doesn't help. It makes it worse. And then I ask a lot of people, because I like research. I said, how do you know what's in it? That what is it laced with? Do you even know? Do you even care? And it seems like many people get on the page, and I'm speaking basically right now of young people. They got a whole population of people, and I have to say targeted.
They're victims of a destructive culture. They're being targeted, and that's something I think that we need to do an investigation. That was my question I was going to ask Dr. Ramadan. Does he think that we should look to religious groups? Because religious groups know why people have the Christian, Jews, and Muslims. They know how to deal with it, and they know the advice to give. But what about the society at large? Should we see it as a crucial time for taking that maybe as a society, how big of a problem is mental illness and just self-destruction? Or do we care? Are we just capitalists? We just care that they continue to work and earn money and give us their money? Or should we care about humanity and the happiness and the joy? Because Allah created us for happiness, to enjoy our lives. So I think it's an issue that's bigger than the church and bigger than the mosque and the synagogue, bigger than the religious groups, because we don't get the support. And thanks to pop culture, we don't get the support. You're
right.
I wish I could save everybody. I can't barely save myself.
I know what you're saying.
This world is horrible.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it seems like those people that are high depression, and some of them tend to do things that are, it goes to be criminal. And then they're thrown into places that don't treat it like it, they don't get treated for
Right.
it. And I mean, it's a heavy population. And then it's not said that even though these people have committed certain things, we're not going to treat them as they're human. They're not going to really rehabilitate. They're going to stay
They're
like that.
punishing sick people. They're
Right,
punishing
right.
people as if they're evil and if they're bad people. When we know that weakness, evil does play a role in weakness, but a person that doesn't know how dangerous it is to entertain evil thoughts or corrupt thoughts. I had a person tell me that evil is crazy. And I was like, oh, a light bulb went off. I said, so when you thinking evil thoughts, that's when you act. So I'm gonna check your mood before I talk to you. They told me evil is crazy. And it was like, well, I'm on my meds and I'm good. They was like, I'm good, I'm on my meds. And they were apologetic, letting me know that, hey, I was off my meds.
Right.
It's not funny, but I'm making a joke of it. But
Yeah.
evil is something that should be evaluated before it's punished.
Right.
So
Right.
Is this person a bad person, or does this person need to be on medication because they can't control themselves? You see?
Yes, you're
Mhm.
right. They hanging something over the population to turn, like it's a separation in church and state. So
Right.
if it's a separation, they call it church and state. If it's a
Right, they ain't
separation, then
paper
they're taking a lot out of it. So what does the person do to step up and just put himself up there? And if he's just putting himself up there, he's gonna fall. He's not gonna make what he
Right.
think he should be. That's depression.
Right.
That's gonna cause it too.
Imam said that. Imam said that he knows that freedom is for everyone and that we're a society that puts freedom above everything. But we also free the devil.
That's
So
right.
it's like a scapegoat they use. They like, well, if you're crazy, that's y'all's problem. That's the church problem. That's not
Right.
that's not the government's problem. That's y'all's problem. Y'all got to deal with the crazy people.
Or that's y'all community problem, or that's y'all race problem, or
Right.
yeah. Mhm. Alhamdulillah.
It's
Thank
not a
you.
societal problem, because when somebody gets harmed by a person dealing with mental illness, it's the whole society's problem. Yeah. Yeah, it's a mess. Maybe something good is going to come out of it. Maybe I think a lot of good is coming out. I think they're starting to talk about or notice it and not being so quick to punish, but they're discussing it and trying to deal with it, even in the schools. Because you got children see madness in their home and violence. They come to school and act, and so it's a societal problem now. It's not just a family problem. Mom and daddy can't just pick up a belt and whip them, or and they go to jail.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's how it's set up. That's right.
Yeah, it's bad. Okay, I'm gonna let somebody else speak. I see
Up next,
hands.
we have,
Mhm.
and we want to wind down the question.
Thank you, Sister Taida, and congratulations to those grandbabies again. They really deserve those awards. They are a star.
Alhamdulillah. Thank
Us
you.
big stars.
Alhamdulillah for
Give
you
them my
too.
love and tell them I said keep up the good work.
Okay.
Tell them now that we recognize them, tell them I'm gonna be calling on them more
I'm
often.
gonna tell
I'm
them.
gonna
I'm
be for the next
gonna tell them. They're gonna
and
like
they're
that.
ready for it. They're not scared. I know it. Yeah.
No.
I just had to let you know.
Allahu
Much I
Akbar.
appreciate you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, up next, it needs to be the last. We'll take a couple more questions. We have Sister Tawanda, and then we'll go with Brother Anthony.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I want to give y'all two greetings. Assalamu alaikum to Imam while I was doing Muhammad II, and assalamu alaikum to Brother Adil.
Just real low. Turn the other one down too. Turn the other one down in the back.
I just wanted to say, Allah hears prayers.
Yes, ma'am.
Allah listens to your prayer. Allah knows our hearts. I just recently prayed, asking Allah to please watch over my granddaughter. That's my son who passed away. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. He was murdered 4 months after his daughter was born. So she didn't grow up with her father. Her father never saw or heard her talk or walk or nothing. but her mother and her grandmother was getting ready to put her out. Matter of fact, they put her out last 2 weeks ago at the age of 13. And I asked Allah Akbar, to please watch over her, to please protect my granddaughter, protect her from any mayhem that may be coming her way. And do you know Allah blessed me to now. I have her with me.
Allahu Akbar.
She's here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Allahu Akbar. That's great.
And and my reason for saying this is because she's depressed.
I'm
Because
sure.
she asking what happened, why all her brothers and sisters have their fathers, but she don't have hers. I said, I really can't answer that question right now. I have to wait till she get older for me to really explain to her how I feel and what I think. But at the same time, she expressed to me yesterday, she'd like to be hugged. And I had to tell her, come today, come hug me.
Mhm.
And she said her mother don't hug her. And I heard her grandmother, they wanted to argue. I said, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna argue with you. Because my whole purpose is getting her here so she won't be in harm's way. And Allah, when I tell you Allah hears our prayers, he may not answer your prayer right then and there, but he do answer your prayers.
I mean,
He answered the important prayers. Because even though my son was murdered 14 years ago, my son was murdered.
Sister Tawanda, you're the parent that Allah wanted for her to have. It was meant to be. You're the parent she needed, because you said you hug her, you give her a hug, and you give her the attention she needs. She's just a child, and that is a miracle. That's a miraculous situation, and you should let her know that everything's in Allah's plan. And
I do.
Every time I see my kids, if they walk close enough, I don't get up out my chair all the time, but they give me a hug.
Yeah.
I can't count how many times I hug my children. I hug them when they get out the car, when they get in the car, when we come home. I see them whenever we see each other. I give them hugs.
And she touches me. She just randomly just put her hands on me.
Yep.
And I can feel her
love. She loves.
She want that.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
It's just that we think children don't have depression, but they do. When I was driving school buses, this little boy named Jacob, he told me a story. He said my mother and father left me in a burning building, and my aide on my bus, she said, "Stop lying about your mother and father." I said, "He's not lying.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling you his truth.
Yeah.
He's telling you what he went through. He's been waiting to get this off his chest for a long time." I said, "No." And do you know that boy? I told him, I said, "What you gonna give me for Christmas?" He said, "I ain't got no money." I said, "Did I say that to you when you said you want something for Christmas?" I said, "I don't know what you got, and you don't know what I have." I said, "But all I want from you is a picture." He said, "That's it?" I said, "Yeah, just give me a picture. I want to see a picture of you." I said, "When you grow up to be a good man. You're a little boy right now." I said, "But all I want for you to do is to grow up and be a good man. You know how you was treated when you was a baby, a little boy? You know not to treat your family like that. That's a lesson and your blessing."
And he
that's
won't ever forget that. We take for granted that people talk to children. A lot of children, nobody talks to them and gives them advice and guidance when they need it more than we do. We like to tell each other, get all up in each other's business. We need to leave each other alone and raise them babies.
Because I really wish I could. I can't afford it right now, but I really wanted her to go to Sister Clara Muhammad School.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I want her in that environment. Because I graduated from Sister Clara Muhammad Elementary University, and I want her because I know it helped me along my ways. Even when I was out, when I left the master and was in the street, my mother always instilled in us, no matter what you do out there in that world and out there in that street, you always remember Allah.
That's right.
The remembrance of Allah. And I thank Allah so much. And I thank him to this day for my surgery, being in that hospital, in the operating room, directing the hands. And I thank Allah for all my ups and downs that I had.
Yeah. But we pray Allah stays
I
with
said,
you and keeps you strong, because there's a lot of good work that need to be done in this world, and it looked like you doing your
so I just want
contribution, and we want you to keep doing that, inshallah. Keep doing what you
Allah
do.
Akbar. I'm gonna
Yes.
get up this phone now. I'm gonna stop talking. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Good to hear your voice, sister. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to hear you and Brother Abdul. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
All right, brother, Imam, Anthony.
Assalamu alaikum, Imam Adil and Imam Worthy II and the audience here. I was going to say some more, but Sister Tawanda said it all. Like Dr. Ramadan and Imam Worthy II said, have faith and have the easiest one to help. And Sister Tawanda, always hug your child. I started with my children very early age, and they're 40 and 50 now, and so they still want their hug and the grandbaby. So what you're doing, continue on, and just may Allah reward you and reward your 13-year-old. A lot of children are raised by the grandparents nowadays. My family is in education and going to school. The grandparents are the one raising a lot of our children, and that's what to save them from the hellfire, because of that faith that you have.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you said everything, so I'm not going to repeat it. Assalamu alaikum.
Wake my salam. Well, like my salam. I ask Allah to also give me help, because I can't do this by myself. I ask Allah to make sure she go to a good school, a real good school, because right now I can't afford to go to Sister Clara Muhammad school. But at the same time, help me. Thank
Sister
you so
Tawanda,
much.
I think you might be able to get on a waiting list. Sometimes where there's a will, there's a way. If you put yourself on a waiting list and just let them know your situation, and I'm sure somebody's out there listening right now, but you can't take that for granted. Follow up, because a lot of times there are people will sponsor a student, and sometimes they'll accept students that aren't able to afford to come into school. I know when I was in Clara Muhammad School, we had a whole lot of children. It was a big number of children that didn't pay tuition, but they went there. And alhamdulillah, there's a great blessing, the mercy from Allah that they wouldn't have.
I called Sister Halima to get some information. She said to me, "No, whenever I get ready to come to the school, I don't need no appointment or nothing, just come." But at the same time, I know the teachers have to get paid, and I can give them something. But I really want her to go into the Muslim school, because she said herself she don't want to go to no school that's ghettoish. And I can understand that. I said, but they don't play now. There's one thing about the Muslim schools, they don't play. When it comes down to that, they do not play with that bullying, bullying and fighting and all that stuff. Because we didn't go through that. I know I didn't go through that. But assalamu alaikum. I can't hear you.
They're having issues right now with the communication here. I don't know what it is. It's the problem.
But you heard me, Brother Anthony?
Yes.
Oh yes, we heard you. We heard you.
I so make it at the end.
Walaikum assalam. Yeah, you were heard. And it's just a technical. We be patient. They'll be back with us.
Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Walaikum assalam.
This is Sister Mahasan Abdul Salam. I'm very, very touched by the appeal that Sister Tawanda is making. And inshallah, we pray that Allah will create a strategy for solution to all your needs, Sister Tawanda, especially in view of the work and assistance you're dedicated to giving to your granddaughter. There's something, one arena that Allah gives us jurisdiction over that is very powerful if we show it in a certain way. And that's the environment in which our children grow. And as Imam Muhammad's older sister Raya was named, Raya means guardian of the home. And whatever the relationship is with our children, grandparents, great-grandparents, mother, father, the mothers, the women are created by Allah. The sacred role that they have is guarding the home. And sometimes it can be as simple as creating a certain atmosphere of positivity. Children nowadays, I think, are overburdened with focusing on things that they have no control over, things that they didn't have any say in, that a locus outside of themselves has created a difficult situation. We women have a powerful option that Allah gives us to take control of the atmosphere and create a winning environment where the child can overcome obstacles and trauma no matter what, with the help of Allah. We look at our stories of our slaves and the enslaved people we were, what we had to go through. And it's amazing times the effort and energy that we had mustered to overcome the challenges and the harms, but we still have that capacity. It's gone, Allah has rendered it a legacy in us, that strength, that patience, that endurance, that perseverance. And if we can embody that in our own attitudes, in our homes, our children will pick up on it. They'll pick up on that strength that hits me no matter what they're going through. And they will find that confirmation in a higher power if that's what we demonstrate. So I'm going to stop right there. But may Allah bless you. May Allah make the difficult easy for all of us, inshallah.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum, Imam Elam, are you on?
Yes, sir. Is it time for me?
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, Imam Elam. So we're in the same area as our good brother Imam Dr. Ramadan. So we lost power on our side. So that was the conclusion of the Muslim Health Consortium program. So right now we're gonna inshallah turn it over to Imam Elam Muhammad for the Quranic Arabic discussion.
Okay, thank you for making me a co-host. Just a second here. There. I'd like to thank my wife. I lost my computer pen that she had to use to write with, and then put one in my bag. Got here, looked at my skills, couldn't find one, but she used it to use her cell phone and iPad. And she gave me permission to drive her car today. I found the pen there. A lot of way, but Dr. Rashida, she made some comments earlier. Today, let's see. Oh, good. I see what time I have to. It's sort of three things. We're going to, the main focus is going to be how we look at the chapter Fusilat and how it starts off in its 4 verses. And with see if we within our time we'll be able to go within the parameters of 5 things that you look for when you read a verse in the Quran. And those parameters can be extended to 6, 7, 8, whatever. But for the most part, when you're reading, it narrows your focus of what you're reading. Because like if you take college grammar, they have you spaced out. In fact, they don't even have anything from the Quran. So when you start trying to translate the Quran, you got many things that they put in your mind, because what they're doing is that when they teach college Arabic, they're teaching you to be translators, and so then it's they're giving you words that would fit the English language. English language is so broad and got so many rules and so many things. And but when it boils down to the Arabic language, it's not that complicated. It is referred to Fusha, classical Arabic. And we even looked up in the Quran the word for Fusha. There's only had one word there, and it was when Moses had asked Allah to let his brother Aaron speak, because he was much more eloquent in speak. So the root word of the derivative of that word fusha is that word. And then there's as I was reading the Quran, and they say Allah teaches you, and it says in the Quran, if I can pull it up. Yeah. And this is from the chapter 2, and it's from the longest verse in the Quran, chapter Al-Baqarah. And it says, and it's at the end of that chapter. That's the chapter about transaction and business. It says, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. That's chapter 2, verse 282. And it's very easy to read this. We know what taqwa is, and it means to be be regardful of God, to think on God. I like the among all of the definition is being God conscious, and it says "Wattaqullah," be conscious of God, and then it says, and then yu'allimukumullahu, Allah will teach you. And then wallahu bi kulli shay'in alim. So Allah will teach you. Allah was here in the beginning, and he'll be here in the end, and he's been teaching everything in creation. So that's some good things to take a look at the real simple Arabic that's there. Then there was one that I wanted to mention before we go to the chapter Fusilat. And we say inshallah. And 3-letter root is Sheen, Aleph, and Hamza. And if you look it up in the Quranic Arabic Dictionary, you see that from that root you get 2 things. And the first thing is, like I said, inshallah. Sha'ah means God please, or God wills. Then in the next one, which it helps me when you find patterns, and you memorize these patterns, and you can see them throughout the Quran. And so it says kuli shay'in, kuli shay'in. Kuli means everything, or kulu if I do it without something affecting it. Kulu Shayin, that's our offer structure. Everything. Then we know that Allah, Kuli Shayin. Allah, He created everything. Then in this particular verse, it says, Wallahu ala kulli shay'in qadir. That Allah, He has power over everything. So from that motto, you can say, Wallahu ala kulli shay'in alim, that He has knowledge over everything. And so you can use that motto. So the word thing is shay'in, and the three-letter root is sha, and hamza. And so the beginning, it says will or pleasure, and then the shay'in means a thing. But Allah created everything by His will. So everything is by the will of Allah. Allahu Akbar. So that verse is chapter 5, verse 40, and I'll read it in English. It says, know you not that to Allah belongs the dominions of the heavens and the earth, and He punish whom He pleases, and that's the word. Yasha, the three-letter word is Sha and Hamza. He punished whom He pleases, and He forgiveth whom He pleases. And Allah hath power over everything. So this one verse is within it is the two words that you get out of this of the three-letter word. So I always like to look at what Allah has. Allah teaches us the Quran, and in our studies, in our class, there's a book I use, and it's a Arabic grammar book, but I used Modern Standard Arabic when I was in college, and there's other books out there. There's books that the Imam has approved from brothers and sisters within our community, and but this one book is very simple and read to the point. It doesn't take a whole lot of pages or paragraphs for the rules of grammar. And it's called Arabic Made Easy. So our class will eventually, pretty soon, we'll start just going through that. But the class has been taught so well that that when we do our classes and go through the various things, that if they open the book, I can tell you right now what they will see. They will have the alphabet, and we have the alphabet sheet. They know it well. Then the next thing, it starts out with nouns, the rules of nouns. And so that little small chapter there tells you all the rules of nouns. The next one is adjectives, tells you about adjectives. Then you have the attached pronouns and unattached pronouns. And then as it goes from these chapters, it goes from the sound plurals and the broken plurals. And then as it keeps going, all this I'm saying, our class know. They know it. And so when they pick up the Arabic book, they can just leap through it and just say, I know this, I know this, I know this, I know this. And then, of course, you get some of the longer, more numerous chapters is dealing with the verb, the different levels of the verb and so forth. In our class, once they learn a noun, in fact, Imam Muhammad says that once you learn the alphabet, you should learn the Arabic grammar. And so the first rule that you learn is the noun, the rules of noun. And then out of that, we teach your alphabet instead of at the end of the year process or half a year process. We teach your alphabet how to use a dictionary and the three-letter root of the past tense verb, fa'ala, and how to conjugate that verb right off the bat. Because once you learn the three-letter root and actually know the three-letter root of the nouns, that you'll be able to read the Quran just by knowing the three-letter root. If I know that Alima means to know or to teach, then Al-Alim means the source of knowledge. You will know that just by looking at it. And so then with our class, we came up where we're able to see there's many examples throughout the Quran. If you want to learn about what is called a Dafa structure, And there's a chapter in that book about the Adolpha structure, and that's going to be in all the books. And you can go to the chapter on NAS about the Adolpha structure. You'll see a verbal sentence, but you'll see some of the Adolpha structures. Then, of course, if you want to learn the Adolpha structure in a plenty, a whole lot, you look at the names of the Quran, the names of the chapters of the Quran. Then, then I say, well, you can go to El Falak, and it's not just El Falak. You learn how to do prepositional phrase. You learn the word min, which is a preposition. And if you got a preposition that comes after the preposition, it makes it a prepositional phrase. You can't have a prepositional phrase without a preposition. So you go to El Falak. Then if you want a combination of simple sentence and a sentence that has a verb, simple sentence that you don't see the verb, but it's understood to say either I am, you are, he or she is, the verb to be in English, but you don't see it written. A good example would be the chapter Ikhlas. Simple sentence, Hu Allahu, he is Allah. Hu Allahu Ahad, he is Allah, the one and only. And so then if you want to see a verbal sentence, lam yalid wa lam yulad. There's two verbs, and then wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Then you have the verb kana that's in that. So you got a verbal sentence there. If you want to learn the negatives, some of the negatives, go to kafirun. And there, you see how those sentences, I am not what you want me to be or whatever you want me to do, and so forth. Kuya ayyuhal kafirun. Say, oh, you who reject faith. I do not worship what you worship. And so you can learn the negatives, how it indicates the sentence. And then there's many examples. There's I don't have the verse in front of me, that Allah teaches you sound plurals. That's plurals that you can make plural by adding an ending. Well, that would be like new words. Those words are there, so you have to recognize. Then broken plurals again. Those are plurals of a word that you have to know. You just have to learn. So el ismu is the name. El asma'u is the names. So you have to learn how to write that, el asma'u, and then you have to write el ismu. And then one of the words that you learn right off the bat is ismu. Not only means names, it means nouns. And the attributes of Allah are referred to as the names of Allah. But not only that, they're called descriptive attributes of Allah. Descriptive means adjectives. And so the attributes of Allah, you'll see them used as nouns, and then you'll see them used as adjectives, modifying a noun. And so Allah teaches us right there in the Quran. So now I want to go to the chapter Fusilat. And we'll go as far as we can today. And let me pull it up on my phone. I got it here. And this is we did this class, I think, earlier this week. Fusilat means the explained in detail. Explained in detail. And a lot of the verses in the Quran, or the not verses, but a lot of the chapters, it's a good habit if you can, if you want to try to increase your vocabulary. Of course, learn the 100 attributes, but go to the maybe verses 1, 2, and 3 of many of the chapters, and you see a repetition of words, and you see that a lot of times the information it's giving you is not that complicated. And so, like right here, this chapter right off the bat starts out with And if this pen don't work, I gotta use my finger. Let's see. And for some reason, I can't write on the board. Let me go back again. Go back up here. Whiteboard. So let's see. Hit the pen down at the bottom here. Maybe that'll make a difference. We'll see. If not, I just continue with the verbal instruction there. I got a spot there that I have to, I know what it is. My blackboard is not what it normally is. Okay, so use the eraser right there. And go back to the pen. Let's see. See what happened. Didn't work. I'll give it one more shot. All right. I've talked the physical or use the mental. Okay. Let's see what happens with that. Nope. Nope. Yeah, so this is not my normal whiteboard for whatever reason. So we'll go to Fusilat. And that's chapter 41. It starts out with Ha Mim. And you can write in there, straight line, come back down to the line. Then you got the Mim, and you go over like that. Ha does not have a sign. Mim has a little sign, it's a little straight line called Meda, which means to stretch out the sound. So it starts out Ha, then Mim.
I see neither.
Huh? Okay, somebody making a comment? But if you're not making a comment, please mute. So, okay. Okay, Ha Mim. So the two letters right there. Then next is Tenzilun. That's chapter verse 2, A 2. Tenzilun. And you look at it, and being knowledgeable in the grammar to some degree, the first thing you have to learn is nouns. They're definite and indefinite. Well, this is an indefinite noun. How do we know? The ending, you have a tanween bit dhamma, double dhamma, false end sound. And the three-letter root is nezaleh, the noon, the zain, and the lam. So it's tenzilun. It means revelation, but also means that we're sent down. And I remember the lecture of Imam Muhammad. For me to understand revelation being sent down was when he did the translation of Jesus so then crucified and put inside of a cave, and a stone was put on over the cave. And then the people came by, the stone was moved, and then they saw Jesus rising from out of the grave, and they were getting ready to touch him, and he said, "Touch me not, for I have not ascended." So Imam Muhammad explained that the worst crucifixion is not the physical body. And the worst death is not the physical body. I mean, people come in the world to die. When we're born, we get old, and we're going to die. And so he says the worst crucifixion is the body of knowledge, or the truth. So when they add it in, take it out, and in this case, he would put in a cave, which was a material, and you had a stone put over the cave, so the word was buried in materialism. So it was contaminated. So then Jesus had to rise up, and then the word has to come back down. And so, and we have another example when it says in the creation of Adam, it says that the water, there was water, then the water has to go up and come back down and water the face of the ground. So we know that water, when it goes up, you can have it contaminated water. And when the sun draws it up, it comes back down pure. Except in this day and time, it's going to be impure because you got all the contaminants in the atmosphere. But yeah, so Tanzilu means revelation, to be sent down. And then next you have men. The word men, that's a preposition. So if I see this preposition, then I know that what's next is a prepositional phrase. The objects of the prepositions is going to follow. So you got Tanzilun, then you have men, but because the rule of Tashweed is changed to so that it can that the recitation can flow. A fatha is put over the last letter, so it's mina, mina. And then if you look at the meme, if you follow me and you're looking at it in the Quran, see the meme has a shedda over it. Shedda means to stress, to make strong, but in grammar it means to see doubles whatever wherever the shadow is over. So that meme that means there's two m's or two memes. So one of them has to go somewhere. And what it does, Tanzilun, there's a rule that says that if the N sound comes before an M sound, the N sound is changed to an M. So it's Tanzilun. Tanzilun. Now, if one of my students says Tanzilun, then Mina, okay, very good. Because eventually you're going to learn the Tajweed. Tanzilun, Mina Rahmanir Rahim. So here is your prepositional phrase. It's two words. And how do we know that that this is a prepositional phrase? Is the ending, the last letter, is that if a noun is affected, see, a noun is affected by two things, verbs and prepositions. You can say particles. There's other things that within that category of particle that would affect it. But for the most part, preposition. So if it's a preposition, the last letter, if it's definite, gets a kasra. So you have a Rahman, which would normally be a Rahmanu. But because it's the object of the preposition, it's ar-Rahmani. Then you have next is ar-Rahimi. So that's part of the long prepositional phrase. Ar-Rahimi. Ar-Rahimu is definite, would be definite and not affected. But being the object of that preposition, men, is ar-Rahimi. It does not change. When you see you change the last letter, it does not change the meaning in this particular case. So it says the revelation from the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. This is an example of a simple sentence. You have revelation and a prepositional phrase. That's fine. Revelation from the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. But to make it a simple sentence, the revelation is from the merciful benefactor, or a revelation. This would be a revelation. Is from the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. So that's your example of a simple sentence and a prepositional phrase. The next, number 3, kitabun. Again, this is a noun, it's indefinite, a book. Fusilat. This is a feminine, maybe a second form of the verb of fa and the saw and the lamb. It has a shedda over the middle second word, over the second word. Fusilat. And we know that it is feminine. If I say fa'alat, it means she did. If I say huwa fa'ala, it means he did. So you have fusilat. We know it's feminine, so we know that the subject, the first word is basically a statement, kitabun. But the subject of the sentence is the next word, ayatuhu. It's not affected by a verb. It's not affected by a preposition. And it translates its signs. So that's the subject, a book. Then it says, its signs are explained in detail. Its signs are explained in okay, so that's your sentence with a verb, fusile, explained in detail. So it's amazing, the signs. And we know that verses of the Quran is called signs. And within you, as of the Quran, there are signs. And then when you look all around in the creation, everything in the creation are signs. And it says, this verse is explained in detail. And then it says, Quran and Arabian. This is the object of the verb fusilet. So your subject is ayatuhu. Then fusilet is the verb. And then Quran and Arabian, that's your, the noun is Quran. And it would be El Quran nu for definite, Quran nun, indefinite. However, it's affected by the verb Quran nan, a Quran. And the adjective comes afterwards. In English, the adjectives come before. In Arabic, the adjective come afterwards. Arabian. And so an Arabic Quran, you got to translate it like English, an Arabic Quran. The rules of adjectives is that they are a mirror image of a noun. So they basically look like nouns. But when it's acting as an adjective, it has to be a mirror image of what you see with a noun that it modifies. So we see Quranin is indefinite, and it has a double fat aleph and double fatha at the end. Then Arabian is indefinite, and it has a double fatha at the end. And Arabic Quran. Then here another prepositional phrase. You have the li, which has a kasra. It means to or belongs to. Then hawmen, it means people. And the three-letter root is ka, aleph, and meme, or ka, or wow, and meme, depends on your dictionary. But it means people. But what type of people? You got the word anas mean people. You got ali means people, family. Well, and this is well, qama means to be established, to stand. We say kat qamat stand for prayer. So this is people that have establishment. Establishment means things that's necessary for them to survive as a people. And to a people, then ya'lamun, to again, here you actually got the subject as a prepositional phrase, to a people who understands or know. Ya'lamun. Three-letter root is ayn, the lamb, and the meme. And then ya'lamun is in a presentation to a people that know. And so finally, we won't have too much more time, but it says, Bashiran wa Nadhiran, again, it goes with the other verse and why the ending the way it is. Bashiran wa Nadhiran. Then it says, Allah fa'arada ihtharuhum fahum la yashma'un. Then ihtharuhum. So I'll sum it up with this. I was following an outline that I have in my brain that I put on paper that my student used as a read verses in the Quran. And this one, Tharuhum, the very simple form of an Adafa structure. Most of them, Tharuhum. So most of them. So you have the first word is part of the Adafa structure. Then whom is the pronoun, but it makes up a Adafa structure. Then finally it says fahum, therefore they. Then la means no. Yes, ma'un. Therefore they do not know. So most of them. It says what it says. I'll read it. It says, given the good news and the admonition, yet most of them turn away And so they do, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, my own. Somebody should have caught me on that. Yes, my own. We know SMU means the all hearing. Then yes, my own means those that hear. So therefore, they do not listen or hear. So I'm going to close by reading these 4 verses and translating them. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hamim. Tanzilum minar rahmanir rahim. Kitabun fussilat ayatuhu Qur'anan Arabiyyan liqaumin ya'lamun. Bashiran wa nadhiran fa'arada ahtharuhum fahum la yasma'un. And so translates, and that will conclude Hamim, a revelation from Allah, the most gracious, most merciful, a book whereof the verses are explained in detail, a Quran in Arabic for people who understand, giving good news and admonition, yet most of them turn away, and so they do not hear. Sadaqallahu Azim, Allah has spoken the truth. Assalamu alaikum. Complete the class. Sorry I couldn't put it on the board. But I got a lot of students that learn just that way. And they do it.
Walaikum assalam. That was beautiful, Brother Elam.
Okay, thank you, Sister Tawanda. Glad to hear from you. Please give your mother the greeting for me.
I will do just that. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Imam Adil, I finished the.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think you guys are ready.
Assalamu alaikum.
I'm going to try to put my information in the chat. So if anybody wants send me their name, telephone number, and email address, they can join us in our Quranic Arabic class. The class is growing and doing real well.
Thank you, Imam Elam.
Walaikum assalam, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, the Quranic Arabic discussion. And you say you're entering your information into the chat?
Yes, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, yes. So we're gonna move on to the next portion of our program, which is going to be the business and technology presentation presented by Brother Abdul Rashid Akbar. You just listened to Imam Elam Muhammad. We'll have Imam Brother Abdul Rashid Akbar up next. Then we'll have comments from our president, Imam W. Muhammad II. And then we'll also have our featured guest presenter, which will be Brother Amir Muhammad. So now we're going to turn it over to Brother Abdul Rashid Akbar for the business and technology presentation.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
All right, good. I'm glad you can hear me okay. All right, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I thank Allah for blessing me to be able to be with you again on this first Sunday. Imam Wazir Muhammad II, definitely want to give you a special greetings. Thank you for continuing allowing me to present here on the first Sunday. As you notice today, I'm trying to represent a little bit, hoping that that's going to help our team get their first win. My wife, she continues to say they're losers, but anyway, I'm a diehard Bear fan. That's who I am, and so one of the things I am. So I'm representing this afternoon. One of the things we're doing. All right. So, but I want to. I'm going to share my screen in a second, and I want to bring up the presentation I want to begin with. So let me first share my screen. And the idea I might have to probably take some time and share the sound. I might have to take some time to find the presentation. But let me start. So everybody can see my screen. So let me go here. All right, and let's go with now on the screen. You're gonna kind of see. Let me go to the main. Who I'm highlighting today, and you'll see why I'm highlighting them in a minute. All right. So this young man name is. Hold on a second. Let me read it from my. No, you can leave it. No. Okay. This young man name is Matthew A. Cherry. And in a minute, my focus is going to be on hair love. And you'll see why I'm highlighting him here in a minute. Let me read a little bit about him. And Matthew A. Cherry, and I'm reading from Wikipedia. And this is also at his website. So hopefully you can see it's MatthewCherry.com. If you want to do more research on him, you certainly can. I encourage you to do so. But let me continue to read from his Wikipedia profile here. Matthew A. Cherry, born December 14th, 1981, is an American film director, writer, producer, and former American football player. He wrote and directed 2 independent films, The Last Fall and 9 Wives. That's in 2016. He is best known for the 2019 Academy Award winning animated short film, Hair Love. A Kickstarter campaign for Hair Love raised nearly $300,000 and broke the record for the highest amount raised for any short film on the platform. Let me digress just a little bit. Kickstarter. Some time ago, I talked about Kickstarter. It's an application online where you can you complete the information online, and it's a campaign, and you can ask people to donate to help you raise money, and you tell them what you're raising money for, usually for a particular project, like in this case, to launch this short film he put together. But Spike Lee has used it, and so many people have used Kickstarter to get projects off the ground. And it's what is called crowdfunding. And some time ago, when we were meeting physically at the Mosqueas building, I talked about Kickstarter and a few other what they call crowdfunding platforms. So I just wanted to digress a little bit and tell you what Kickstarter is, what it's about. And if you want to get more information, go ahead and search Kickstarter. There's crowdfunding. There's some other programs out there that are also crowdfunding programs. And you might have a project or something like that. You need some help to get off the ground, and you need some support for it, financial support for it. Check it out. It's a way that you can get that program going. That's what Kickstarter is about. But let me get back to, let me put my time on. God, I got to put my time on here so I want to go with my time. So let me do that. And give me a second here. Okay, I got that started. Okay, so now let's go on and talk about Mr. Cherry. He retired from football in 2007 to pursue a film career. After initially working as a production assistant, he began directing music videos. He directed videos for gospel songs, Say Yes by singer Michelle Williams. Cherry wrote and directed his first film, The Last Fall, in 2012. And he talks about who starred in that. Let me go on. His second film, 9 Rides, was shot entirely on the iPhone 6S. Let me digress a little bit now. Many of you know I'm a Apple aficionado, you can say that. Love Apple. I had an iPhone even before the 6S. I think I started with the iPhone 4. But anyway, it's a blessing to know that you work with what you have. So he used his iPhone 6S and shot the whole film, 9 Rides, on that iPhone. Okay? All right, so the iPhone 6S. So let me go on. which may be the first feature film shot using that device. Let me go on further now, down where I want to get to here. Hair Love. In 2017, Cherry created a Kickstarter campaign for a short animated film called Hair Love. The campaign surpassed its initial goal of $75,000 and raised nearly $300,000. He co-directed the film with Everett Downing and Bruce W. Smith, with Peter Ramsey and Pixar animator Frank Aubrey serving as executive producer. In March 2019, Sony Pictures Animation announced they had picked up Hair Love, which was released in theaters alongside the Angry Birds movie 2 on August 14, 2019. The film won the 2020 Academy Award for the Best Animated Short, with Cherry accepting the award alongside fellow producer Karen Rupert Tolliver. Now I'm going to stop there, and I want to show you the film. I'm going to go to, this is on his site, but I want to show it to you from the Facebook page. Sony has it. And so if you give me a second, let me see if I can run it from his site. If I can't run it from his site, I'm going to go to Sony because I don't want to run it from YouTube. It's available at YouTube, but it's also at Facebook, Instagram. So let me see if I can run it from his site. Give me a second. But if it comes up on YouTube, I'm gonna stop it and go to, so let me see if I can run it. Let me see where this runs it from. No, so I'm gonna stop running from YouTube. I'm gonna go because I don't want the Moscares to be get a ding for that. So let me go to YouTube, and let me go to Sony, and they have it. So, Brother Adil, while I'm looking for this, if I can stop my share and come back to it. So if they want to make some announcement or whatever, let me find it because I don't want to. What I don't want to do is run it from the YouTube. Okay, Brother Adil, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You said.
Let me stop my share and let me find it. Then I'll come back. Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir. So yeah. So you're currently listening to the business and technology presentation with Brother Abdul Rashid Akbar. And coming up next, we'll hear much anticipated comments from our leader, Imam W.D. Muhammad II. And we just finished our 34th annual Muslim convention, which was a success, alhamdulillah. And we're, as the days are coming by, we're starting to present highlights from the presenters throughout the convention. So you can go to our YouTube channel, the Moscares YouTube channel, and find those highlights there. And then there'll be more coming in the coming days, inshallah. So yes, as mentioned, we'll have comments from Imam W.D. Muhammad II up next, and he'll be followed by our featured guest presenter, Brother Amir Muhammad, I believe from the American Islamic Heritage Museum. And we're looking forward to a great presentation. And his presentation today is about the Gullah Geechee culture in the Low Country, the areas of Savannah, Georgia, and the Charleston, South Carolina area. And he'll be exploring that culture and the connection to the Islamic culture. The presentation he presented on the convention was the origins of the name Muhammad, the history of the name Muhammad in America. And I believe that he talked about Bilal, and then the origins of the Islamic names of towns and streets in the country. So it's always very informative when we have presentations from our historians. You know, these are the people that preserve our history, you know, for us and for our young people. And a knowledge of this history will, inshallah, help us to inform our future and for our future progress. So we need these things documented. And believe it or not, you know, every first Sunday is documented. So every month we're creating history with your help, and we're preserving the history of this community. And inshallah, in the future, those after us will be able to look back on these great works that you and that we all are doing, inshallah. So, Brother Akbar.
Yes, I'm ready now. Let me go back to share my screen.
Yes,
I
sir.
found it on the YouTube, Sony, on the YouTube. I mean, on the sorry, Facebook. So let me go back to share my screen. Here, let me get it up here. A second here. All right, and then I'm going to expand the screen. Let me start it first. And now let me just read this right here. You see Sony Pictures Animation, and this is Hair Love, an animated short film from Matthew A. Cherry. Tells a touching story about a father learning to do his daughter's hair for the first time. And so now let me start it. Let me first enlarge it. Now, it's an animated, but I'm wondering if I'm seeing there is sound, so, but I don't know how far into it because I know, but it's not muted. So let's just run it. I'm gonna go ahead and run it.
The speaker was turned off on your Facebook. Your speaker's turned off. Look at the bottom.
My speaker is?
That it shows the speaker is off on Facebook.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Wait, let me my Facebook speaker.
Yeah,
No?
you have volume to the bottom right. You see to the far bottom right? No, up a little bit.
Okay, so I got some pop-ups. Let me drop these down so I can see it.
Do you see the media player? You see where the cog is for the settings? In the Facebook player, not from your computer.
Okay, let me.
So if you look to the bottom, you see.
You see where the speaker has have an X on it. That means it's off.
Let me try this. It's still off? It's but it does.
Play it so we can see.
Let me see.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
So, all right, let me stop it. Let me and let me see where.
What it is, because you're playing it in the Facebook player, so they usually have it muted. So as soon as you go to your page, stuff won't just start playing the volume.
So
yeah. So like
right, so let me go to. Let me try to go to my. What's on the side here? I can't. Let me see. Let me see if I can get down to where it is in my.
It's a 6-1.
I'm looking for it and I can't. Okay, I apologize for these technical.
The story of that video. That video came out around the time when I remember on TV, the Sesame Street and the electric company, they were really pushing this thing to promote black hair because they were, and it almost became like a movement where people were coming down on the sisters for braiding hair. And
oh yeah.
They were being
Wait a minute, let me stop it. Okay, let me stop. But you, Imam Wadi Muhammad, go ahead and continue with your comments. Go ahead and continue with your comments, buddy, ma'am.
What'd you say, Akbar?
I said, yeah, I was telling Imam Wadi Muhammad, go ahead and continue with his comments.
No, you probably recall that. It was just hair was in the media, and that was around the time when Robin had got sick. And I remember that that's when that video came out. I was sitting outside of my children's school when I saw it right after Robin passed. And I saw the video on my phone or something. And so I'm very familiar with this because I had the exact same situation. I had to ask Robin, I called her at work and asked her, you know, what am I supposed to do? Because I had to get her dressed, my daughter, and she was 8
Yes.
years old,
Yes.
7 or 8, I'm
Yes.
not sure. Yeah, so I experienced this wholly. I was really suspicious when I saw it. I said, oh, they making fun of me doing my daughter's hair.
No, see, they
I
weren't
think I
though.
did a good job.
You did. You did. But
It was like
but-
rocket science, but I managed it. And
Okay.
she don't even like for me to touch her hair. So
well, let's see if the sound is gonna work, and if everything's working, then I'll make some comments after, so we can make some comments. Now, let me see.
yeah, it's good now.
Yeah. So. Oh. I stopped the share, but I guess let me close, hold just a second. Let me close this off. For me to give That's it. I stopped my share, but I didn't stop All right, so let me. Okay. Okay. Now some may ask, okay, so what did I share that with the community? Why did I choose this particular program to share for this first Sunday? Number one, I first saw it on CBS Mornings, and that was my first time seeing it. But if you look at his body of work at his website, he's been doing some excellent work ever since he retired from the NFL. So the first point I wanted to make was with this is to say transitioning to something else in life after you've completed one particular career or whatever is a blessing. You know, we're taught through our prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace be upon him. Allah told him, and by extension us, that once you complete your immediate task or your current task, immediately start on your next task. Didn't say rest, take your time. It said immediately start on the next task. So that's the first, I guess the first takeaway I got from this particular program. After he retired from the NFL, he went on and started with other tasks that he had a knack for. He had an aptitude for, and he's continuing. There's a series of animated books that he has out there beside this one, dealing with hair, but also he's got something that Sony has picked up, or Max has picked up, an additional series that deals with Afro-Americans, period, and the love between them. And you'll see that if you go to his website. So so I wanted to share that. Also, just to share what Allah has blessed us to be able to do with our talents as Afro-Americans. And here's one young man that was able to win an Academy Award for that particular short film, animated short. All right, which says, and remember now, this all got started from a Kickstarter program. He didn't have any money for it. He raised the money to put this and to do this. All right, because he didn't have any money or not enough to